So it looks like we've got Comey and Mueller stuffing their pockets with millions over there at Booz Allen Hamilton. Heavy on the booze, apparently. But, yep, millions of dollars went in their pockets from U.S. government defense contracts to Lockheed Martin. So I guess working over at the FBI means, boom, you get to hand out to all your little buddies these massively lucrative arrangements with these corporations that are getting filthy rich off the backs of the American public. I don't know, in the case of the Bush administration and the Clinton administration, on waging all kinds of very suspicious wars. In other words, this Lockheed Martin contract and all this ratcheting up of national security and homeland security and the police state to spy on you, these great big huge contracts with the banks, the banksters, you know, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, there's this revolving door that Lanny Breuer got filthy rich on, and I think Lanny Breuer is part of that Booz Allen Hamilton too. But let's move on here, ladies and gentlemen, to the gargantuan, staggering, mind-blowing financial rape of the United States. The banking system has had to be bailed out numerous times, going back to the 1800s. The giant bankruptcy of the United States, even after the American Revolutionary War, with the massive war debt to France and England, by the way, and England. This looting of the American treasure chest, if you will, by people like the Obamas, the Holders, the Lynches, Ashcroft, Alberto Gonzales, Janet Reno was involved in this stuff, Mueller, Comey, Clinton, the Bushes, the Obamas, this wholesale sellout to the gangster banksters will make Lockheed Martin's stuffing Comey and Mueller's pockets with millions look like chump change. Chump change. And I'm specifically calling out my old pal there, Scott Bennett. Old Scott Bennett and Booz Allen Hamilton. And let's see, let's talk about, I don't know, John McCone, the former director of the CIA, and his cushy relationships with the Western banks. Western banks. And then if you stop and take a little look into the former Secretary of State James Baker III down there in Houston with Baker and Botts and their relationship to a whole bunch of Houston-based banks. And then, of course, you got Sewell and Riggs, and you've got that company run by Jim and Nelda Blair, Heard, Goggin, Blair, and Williams. They're the big collectors for all the governmental systems. My understanding is Heard, Goggin, Blair, and Williams there are operating all over the world. Correct, Nelda Luce? Radabow Blair? We've got this systemic, metastasized cancer, massive banking frauds, savings and loan frauds, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, the Farmers Home Administration, FHFA, all of these big loan programs have been bled dry in these dirt flipping. How about that, Hillary Clinton? Dirt flipping. And I'll guarantee you Susan McDougal understands very well what I'm talking about when I say dirt dealing and dirt flipping. Excuse me, folks, I've been having some congestion this summer. The trillions, Donald Trump. Trillions, Jeff Sessions. Oh, they already know this stuff. The Bush and the Clintons mob down there in Houston, you know, uptown over there at the Houstonian Estates, right up the street from Lamar Terrace. The Bin Ladens, the Khashoggis, the Ghabanifars, Michael Atkinson, Robert Corson, Oliver North, Richard Secord, Admiral Poindexter, Bill Casey, bring in the CIA, of course, Bill Casey, and that whole mega giant looting of the banks in the state of Texas. And just coincidentally, the rest of the United States. From Florida to Maine to Alaska to Hawaii, back to California, Renee Powers, back to California, Valerie Lopez and William Wagoner. This national banking orgy, it's been an orgy, a very well-financed orgy. Now that'll take you back to some of the works of the Independent Reporters and Editors Association, the IRE. For all the people that might watch this video, I've been involved in breaking the back of this revolving door and this wholesale buyout of U.S. government regulators, including FBI and Department of Justice, and a lot of your federal courts and state courts and state attorney generals and county prosecutors. A lot of these government officials are in the back pocket. They're literally in the back pocket of all these gangster banksters. And it stretches far, 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 far from Los Angeles. It's not just in Santa Barbara. It's not just in, San Diego. It's not just in California. This cancer of banking frauds, fake papers, fake registrations and electronic records, all this forgery and fakery and fraud, it stretches all over the world. It's global. And what's driving it? The same thing that was driving Jimmy Comey and Robert Mueller with Lockheed Martin. How about that, Lou Dobbs? Isn't that something? This wholesale sellout of the American people for large amounts of personal wealth and cushy jobs and that cushy lifestyle. It hasn't just been Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton doing it. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, both, well, the whole Bush clan. Take a look into the Bush family's involvement in the looting of the Wilmington, Delaware, Wilmington Trust and their connections to BB&T Bank. That's on the East Coast, Renee Powers. This massive, gargantuan victimization of people across this nation, the uniting of the victims, the unification and solidarity of the people that are picking up the tab, it's a must. Congress must be confronted. The Senate must be confronted. The judiciary must be confronted. And Donald Trump, we talked about swamp draining. And Donald Trump, there's a national swamp draining administration. And it involves an awful lot of people. There's some people that formed it, and there's some people that had the idea to create it. But this group is all about we. It's all about the team. It's not about eyes. It's not about me. It's not about me. I'm just one of the victims that happens to know what went down in uptown Houston. And downtown Houston, too. The downtown Houston banks were involved out the kazoo. And, well, gee, golly whiz, it was going on all over Texas. All over Texas. Ask Michael Winston. Or, ask Gretchen Morgensen. Or get a hold of Catherine Austin Fitts. Renee Powers. Valerie Lopez. You know who Catherine Austin Fitts is? Maybe you know who Linda Minor is. The former Harris County Assistant County Attorney. Now you see, ladies, Judson Witham's the real article. Good old Judson Witham, he's not fooling around. And I'm not in this for patents and copyrights and for making myself some money. So yeah, you share that with William Wagner. I'm not in this to make money, William Wagner. I'm in this to smash the backs of the sellouts that have, well, they're traitors. I'm sorry. This creating a fake dossier and this whole dog and pony show of the FBI with, you know, trying to frame Donald Trump while Hillary Clinton and George Bush, they destroyed 22 million emails, Lou Dobbs, and 22 million emails were destroyed by the Bush W there. W's White House. I mean, 33,000 emails compared to 22 million is, well, it speaks for itself. Now to the United States, to the people of this country, you have a document, the Constitution. Excuse me. You have the Constitution. And it's very clearly set out in there that no state shall make anything other than gold or silver coin legal tender in the payment of debt. And that includes real copper pennies. Where we've gotten in trouble here, folks, is they can just print it right out of the thin air. They can mark up the accounts. They can, with a few keystrokes, they can create trillions. People have trouble with the concept that if you can print the first $100 bill, which costs 15 cents to print, you've got $99.85 more to print as many $100 bills as you want to print, right from nothing, right out of the thin air. And this is what's driving the cancer of financial corruption in the United States. This subprime mortgage market is the tip of the iceberg. This dirt flipping, dirt dealing, real estate fraud, land scheming and scamming, the real estate fraud rackets that I've been exposing for 35 years plus, Renee Powers. I didn't just get on this bandwagon, Renee, 10 years ago. I didn't just get on this bandwagon 20 years ago, and I started fighting these banksters over 30 years ago. And I'm not trying to cause anything but solidarity. I'm creating solidarity and unification amongst all the victims, amongst all the groups. And Judge Carter, federal district judge, Sledgehammer Carter in Los Angeles, needs to understand that this cancer of corruption and this sellout of the American people to these gangster bankster slobs with the Federal Reserve, the jig's up. The jig's up, Judge Carter. And there's a lot of other judges around this nation that are playing patty cake with the bubble makers. There's huge amounts of money at stake here, folks. Big vacation homes, fancy vacations, luxury cars, you know, girlfriends on the side when we're married, boyfriends on the side when we're married, you know, dental plans, retirement money, living in the lap of luxury at the expense of the American people. And to my old buddy, Judge Alan Barb Sadler from down in Conroe, he can tell you I've been at this more than 20 years. And, well, I go all the way back to County Judge Jimmy C. Edwards III and Alvin Stahl there in Montgomery County, Texas. And I absolutely guarantee you, Valerie Lopez and Renee Powers and friends, Bill Wagner, I've got records on this going back to 1981 and 82. Long, long, long before the Occupy and the Anonymous came waltzing along. So to Lou Dobbs fans and all my friends and family and people who understand what I'm doing here, solidarity. unification across the nation, even across the globe. Because you know something's odd about this Jimmy Comey and Robert Mueller. This is an international crime scene. And it involves some of your buddies at HSBC Bank and Union Bank of Scotland, UBS. You know, Phil Graham. How about that one, Renee Powers? I go back to confronting Phil Graham. Yep, Conroe Phil. Old Phil Graham from Conroe, Texas. The grand poobah there at UBS Bank. Now I'm going to round this one up because I want to make it very clear. I want to make this just crystal and clear for everybody involved, especially Valerie Lopez and the Stop the Recording Fraud group in California. I have friends and connections all over the United States, and they know for certain, they know positive certain, that Judge Witham is no kidder. So President Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Vice President Pence, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and FBI Director Christopher Wray. You know what was happening in Houston? They're out of the 26th floor of the Houstonian Estates with Gabanafar and Khashoggi and North and Seacourt and Poindexter and Casey and Michael Atkinson, Mike Atkinson, even Roland Carnaby. Roland Carnaby knew about this stuff, Christopher Wray. And I got a buddy of mine, old buddy of mine down there at Woodlands. Casey Tuckness ought to go look him up. Barb Sadler. Go look up former United States Secret Service agent Rick Williams. And ask Rick Williams about old Judge Witham, and ask old Rick Williams if he thinks I'm kidding around. I sure would love to find Lucy Proctor. She was a investigative reporter for the Conroe Courier. And Lucy Proctor was the one that helped me smash the back of all these dirt flipping schemes. And I said that correctly. Sheriff Rand Henderson and District Attorney Lignan there from Conroe. Dirt flipping with those unrecorded red flag, toxic zombie, phantom ghost, unrecorded, illegal, non-border colonialists. Non-border colonialists. And Valerie Lopez and William Wagner, you're very welcome to look into the history of the non-border colonialists. You'll find out that what Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and the McDougalls and the Wades and Quapaw Title. I mean, who the hell has ever heard of Quapaw Title, right? Renee Powers? You'll find out what the Clintons were doing in Arkansas will make what the ranchers are trying to pull off out there in the West with grabbing up public lands look like cupcakes. The public lands of the United States do not belong to the LDS Church. The public lands of the Western United States are not the property of the Mormons. They belong to the people of the United States. Period. And Cliven Bundy and Ammon Bundy need to understand that these controversies and these battles over what was done to the Native American tribes, to the First Nations of Turtle Island, those victims are involved in the unification and solidarity of what's being addressed here with these gangster bankster slobs and their international crime scene, their global crime spree, Jeff Sessions and Christopher Wray. And to all the members of the Congress and all the members of the U.S. Senate, Gretchen Morgensen and Michael Winston are the least of your worries. And Rolling Stone and Mother Jones News and the Washington Post and the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and the Orlando Sentinel and the Houston Chronicle and the San Francisco Examiner and the Seattle Post-Intelligencer and all the newspapers across the nation, all the United Press International and all the other media news services, take note. I'm not fooling around. What has been done to the families of America, to the children of this country, by these dirt-flipping real estate fraud, robo-signing, felonious foreclosure mills, these crooked law firms stealing family homes, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to fly. And to Bill Wagner, pay attention, because this boy here, he ain't fooling around. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, hasta la vista, God bless, and you can bet your sweet you-know-what. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Stay tuned.